There's a moment in history when everything shifts. Not with a crash. Not with an announcement. But quietly. Silently. While most people sleep. Right now, in this exact moment, the largest wealth transfer in American history is happening. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Today. And if you're watching this, there's a good chance you're on the wrong side of it. The middle class is being hollowed out, not by some evil conspiracy, but by a system designed to move money from those who work for it to those who own assets. This isn't theory. This is mathematics. Cold, brutal, inevitable mathematics. And the terrifying part? Most people won't realize what happened until it's already over. Think about it. Your parents could buy a house on a single income. They could raise kids, take vacations, save for retirement. All on one salary. Today, 2 incomes barely cover rent. College costs more than a mortgage used to. Healthcare can bankrupt a family overnight. And everyone keeps saying, work harder, be smarter, save more. But what if the game itself has changed? What if it's not about effort anymore? What if the system is transferring wealth upward by design, and the only way to survive is to understand the rules before it's too late? Because here's the truth they don't teach you in school. Wealth doesn't disappear. It transfers. From one group to another. From one generation to another. From those who don't understand the system to those who do. And right now, the transfer is happening faster than ever before. Before we go any further, I need you to do something. If you're tired of being told everything is fine when you can feel it's not, hit that subscribe button. If you want to understand what's really happening to your money, your future, your security, smash that like button. And drop a comment telling me, do you feel like you're getting ahead, or just treading water? Because this channel exists for people who refuse to be blind. Let's continue. Wealth transfers aren't new. They've happened throughout history. After every war, every financial crisis, every period of inflation, wealth moves. The question is always the same. Who loses and who wins? In the 1970s, inflation ravaged the middle class. Gas lines stretched for miles. Prices doubled, then tripled. Savings accounts became worthless. But if you owned real estate, commodities, gold, you didn't just survive. You thrived. Wealth transferred from savers to asset holders. Then came the 1980s and 90s. A golden era, they said. The stock market soared. Home values climbed. But here's what they don't tell you. It wasn't prosperity for everyone. It was financialization. The economy stopped being about making things and started being about moving money. Wall Street grew. Main Street stagnated. And the gap between the wealthy and everyone else began to widen. But the real acceleration started in 2008. The financial crisis. Banks collapsed. The stock market crashed. Millions lost their homes, their jobs, their life savings. It was devastation. Except for one group. Those with cash. Those with access to credit. Those who could buy assets when everyone else was forced to sell. The Federal Reserve stepped in. They dropped interest rates to zero. They printed trillions of dollars. They called it quantitative easing. A fancy term for flooding the system with money. And who benefited? Not the guy who lost his job. Not the family who lost their home. The people who owned stocks. The people who owned real estate. The people who owned businesses. Because when you print money and drop interest rates, asset prices go up. That's not a side effect. That's the mechanism. And it's been running non-stop ever since. Let me give you a number. In 2008, the Federal Reserve's balance sheet was under $1 trillion. Today, it's over $8 trillion. $8 trillion created out of thin air. Where did that money go? It didn't go to workers. Wages have barely moved in decades when adjusted for real inflation. It didn't go to savers. Savings accounts pay almost nothing. It went into assets. Stocks hit record highs. Real estate hit record highs. Even cryptocurrencies, digital tokens that didn't exist 15 years ago, are worth trillions. And if you didn't own those assets, you didn't get richer. You got poorer. Because while asset prices soared, the cost of everything else soared too. Food, rent, healthcare, education. All climbing faster than wages. This is the transfer. Money flowed from your paycheck, your savings, your future, into the pockets of those who already owned the game board. And it's still happening. Right now. Here's where it gets darker. This isn't an accident. This is policy. When the government runs massive deficits, when the Fed prints money, when interest rates stay near zero for over a decade, this is the result. They know it. They've always known it. Because the alternative is collapse. If asset prices fall, the entire system buckles. Pension funds collapse. Banks fail. Retirement accounts vanish. So they keep printing. They keep inflating. They keep transferring wealth upward to keep the system alive. And the middle class pays the price. You feel it every time you go to the grocery store. Every time you pay rent. Every time you look at your paycheck and wonder why it doesn't go as far as it used to. That's not bad luck. That's the transfer in action. Let's talk about housing. In 1970, the average home in America cost about $23,000. The median household income was under $10,000. So a house cost roughly 2.5 times your annual income. Tough, but doable. Today, the median home price is over $400,000. The median household income is around $70,000. That's nearly 6 times annual income. And in major cities, it's worse. 10 times income. 12 times income. 15 times income. How did this happen? Simple. Low interest rates and money printing inflated asset prices. Homes became investment vehicles instead of places to live. Hedge funds and private equity firms buy entire neighborhoods. Foreign investors park cash in American real estate. And regular families get priced out. The dream of home ownership, the cornerstone of middle-class wealth, is slipping away. And if you can't buy a home, you can't build equity. You can't pass wealth to your kids. You stay renting forever, transferring your paycheck to a landlord who owns 10 properties. This is the mechanism. This is the transfer. And it's accelerating. Now let's talk about the stock market. You've probably heard it's doing great. Record highs, they say. The economy is strong, they say. But here's the reality. Most Americans don't own significant stock. About half the country owns no stock at all. Of those who do, the top 10% own 84% of all stock market wealth. The top 1% owns 38%. So when the market goes up, who wins? Not you. Not the middle class. The already wealthy. And when the Fed prints money to prop up the market, they're not helping working people. They're enriching the rich. Again. Here's another number that should terrify you. In 1989, the top 1% of Americans held about 30% of the nation's wealth. Today, they hold over 32%. Meanwhile, the bottom 50% held 3% of the wealth in 1989. Today, they hold 2%. Let that sink in. Half the country owns 2% of the wealth. This is the transfer. And it's not slowing down. It's speeding up. But it gets worse. Because inflation doesn't hit everyone equally. If you're wealthy, inflation is annoying. Your groceries cost more, sure. But your stocks and real estate are going up faster than prices. You're fine. If you're middle class or poor, inflation is devastating. Your rent goes up, but your wages don't. Your groceries cost more, but your savings earn nothing. Your car insurance doubles, but you can't afford a new car anyway. Inflation is a silent tax on the poor and middle class. And it transfers wealth to those who own assets that inflate in value. Every single time. Without exception. Now, some people will say, just invest. Buy stocks, buy real estate, buy Bitcoin. And they're not wrong. But here's the problem. Most people can't. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, when rent takes half your income, when student loans and car payments and medical bills drain everything else, there's nothing left to invest. You're stuck. And while you're stuck, the people with capital are buying everything. They're buying homes you'll rent. They're buying stocks you can't afford. They're buying businesses, land, resources, future cash flows. And every dollar they spend inflates the price of the next asset, making it even harder for you to catch up. This is the trap. This is the transfer. And it's designed this way. Let me tell you a story. Imagine two people. Same age, same education, same work ethic. Person graduates in 1985. They get a job, buy a house for $80,000 with a 10% down payment. They pay their mortgage. They invest a little in their 401k. Nothing crazy. Fast forward 40 years. That house is now worth $600,000. Their retirement account grew with the longest bull market in history. They're comfortable, maybe even wealthy. Not because they were smarter. Not because they worked harder. Because they bought assets during a period of massive expansion. Person B graduates in 2008. Right into the financial crisis. Jobs are scarce, wages are stagnant, student debt is crushing. They rent because homes are too expensive and they can't save a down payment. They try to invest, but every time they save a little, an emergency wipes it out. Car breaks down, medical bill, rent increase. Fast forward to today. They're still renting, still struggling, still trying to get ahead. Not because they're lazy, not because they're dumb, because the timing was wrong, because they entered the economy after the wealth transfer already started. This is what people don't understand. Wealth isn't just about hard work. It's about timing. It's about being in the right place when assets are cheap and money is flowing. And right now, we're in the late stage of a transfer that started in 2008 and exploded during COVID. When the pandemic hit, the world shut down. Businesses closed. People lost jobs. Uncertainty everywhere. And what did the government do? They printed more money than ever before in history. Trillions of dollars. In months. Stimulus checks, corporate bailouts, expanded unemployment, forgivable loans. Money everywhere. And once again, asset prices exploded. Stocks soared. Real estate went parabolic. Even used cars became investment assets. If you owned things, you got richer. If you didn't, you got destroyed by inflation. Let's talk about what inflation really is. They teach you in school that inflation is when prices go up. That's technically true, but it's incomplete. Inflation is the devaluation of currency. When the government prints money, each dollar is worth less. So prices don't go up. The dollar goes down. And who gets hurt? People who hold dollars. People who save in dollars. People whose wages are paid in dollars. Meanwhile, people who own assets, things that hold value outside the dollar, they're protected. Their wealth isn't in cash. It's in property, stocks, gold, businesses, things that rise with inflation. So every time the Fed prints money, every time the government runs a deficit, wealth transfers from savers to asset holders. From workers to owners. From the middle class to the wealthy. And this has been happening for decades. Here's a thought experiment. Let's say you saved $100,000 in the year 2000. You're responsible, disciplined, you did the right thing. You put it in a savings account. Safe, secure, smart, right? Wrong. Because inflation over the past 23 years has destroyed about 40% of that purchasing power. Your $100,000 buys what $60,000 used to. You lost $40,000 by doing nothing. Now let's say instead, you bought a house, or stocks, or literally anything other than holding cash. You'd be up 300%, 400%, maybe more. Same money. Different outcome. Because the system rewards ownership, not saving. It punishes prudence and rewards risk. And that's by design. The middle class was built on saving. Work hard, save your money, retire comfortably. That was the promise. But that promise is broken. Because saving doesn't work anymore. Not when interest rates are near zero. Not when inflation runs hot. Not when your money loses value faster than it gains interest. The new rule is simple: own assets or get left behind. But most people can't own assets, because assets are too expensive, because wages haven't kept up, because debt is crushing. So they fall further behind, and the gap widens. Let's talk about debt, because debt is the other half of this transfer. In 1980, total household debt in America was around $1.5 trillion. Today, it's over $17 trillion. $17 trillion of mortgages, car loans, credit cards, student loans. And who profits from that debt? Banks. Financial institutions. The same people who own the assets. So not only are you priced out of ownership, you're forced into debt just to survive. And every month, you make a payment. Interest flows from your pocket to theirs. Another transfer. Another extraction. And it never stops. Student loans are the perfect example. In 1980, you could work a part-time job and pay for college. Tuition at a public university was under $1,000 a year. Today, it's over $10,000. At private schools, it's $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. And you can't escape it. Student loans can't be discharged in bankruptcy. They follow you forever. So an entire generation started their adult lives underwater. Negative net worth. Paying off debt instead of building wealth. And while they're trapped, the people who own the loans collect interest. The people who own real estate charge rent. The people who own businesses pay wages that don't keep up. Transfer after transfer after transfer. Healthcare is another extraction machine. America spends more on healthcare than any country in the world. Over $4 trillion a year. But outcomes aren't better. Life expectancy is lower than most developed nations. So where does the money go? Insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, hospital networks, shareholders, and regular people go bankrupt from medical bills. One emergency, one diagnosis, one accident, and you're done. Life savings gone. Retirement gone. House gone. Another transfer. From the sick to the system. Now let's zoom out. Because this isn't just an American problem. This is global. After 2008, central banks around the world coordinated. They all printed money. They all dropped rates. They all inflated assets. Europe, Japan, China, everyone. Because the alternative was global collapse. And maybe they were right. Maybe the system would have imploded without intervention. But the cost was enormous. Wealth concentrated at the top. The middle class eroded. And now we're living in the aftermath. A world where a small percentage owns almost everything. And everyone else fights for scraps. Here's the part that should scare you. This transfer isn't over. It's still happening. Right now, today, this moment. Because the conditions haven't changed. Debt is higher than ever. Deficits are bigger than ever. The Fed's balance sheet is still enormous. And every time there's a crisis, every time the market wobbles, every time unemployment ticks up, they print more. They stimulate more. They inflate more. And the transfer continues. Let me give you a prediction. In the next 10 years, we're going to see a wave of inheritance unlike anything in modern history. The baby boomers, the wealthiest generation ever, are going to pass down trillions of dollars. Homes, stocks, businesses, land. And who's going to inherit it? Their kids. The people who already have. So wealth will concentrate even further. And if you're not in that group, if your parents don't own assets, you're starting from zero. Or worse, from negative because of debt. This is generational wealth transfer. The rich stay rich. The poor stay poor. And the middle class disappears. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds hopeless. It sounds like the game is rigged and there's no way out. And to some extent, that's true. The game is rigged. But that doesn't mean you can't play. It means you have to understand the rules. You have to know what's happening. You have to stop playing by the old playbook, the one that says save your money, work hard, and everything will be fine. Because that playbook doesn't work anymore. The new rules are different. Own assets. Understand money. Protect yourself from inflation. Learn how the system works and position yourself accordingly. It's not fair. It's not right. But it's reality. Here's the thing. Most people won't figure this out until it's too late. They'll keep working, keep saving in dollars, keep renting, keep paying debt. And one day, they'll wake up and realize they're 70 years old with nothing. And they'll wonder what happened. They'll blame themselves. They'll think they didn't work hard enough, didn't save enough, didn't sacrifice enough. But the truth is, the system transferred their wealth away. Silently. Gradually. Inevitably. Let's go deeper. Because there's another layer to this transfer that almost no one talks about. Financialization. That's the word. The process by which the economy stops being about making things and starts being about moving money. In 1950, the financial sector made up about 2.5% of the U.S. economy. Today, it's over 8%. Banking, insurance, investment firms, hedge funds, private equity. They don't build anything. They don't manufacture anything. They move money. And they take a cut every single time. When you buy a house, they take a cut. When you invest in your 401k, they take a cut. When you use a credit card, they take a cut. When companies merge, when stocks are traded, when bonds are issued, they take a cut. It's extraction at every level. And that money comes from somewhere. Comes from you. Private equity is a perfect example. These firms buy companies using borrowed money. They load the company with debt, cut costs, fire workers, sell off assets. Then they sell the company or take it public. And they walk away with billions. Meanwhile, the workers lose their jobs. The company is gutted. The community suffers. But the private equity partners get richer. That's financialization. That's the transfer. Wealth moving from productive workers to financial engineers. Or take stock buybacks. Companies used to invest profits into research, development, worker wages, expansion. Now they use profits to buy back their own stock. Why? Because it boosts the stock price. And who benefits? CEOs with stock options. Shareholders. Wealthy investors. Not workers. Not communities. Not the future of the company. Just short-term gains for those at the top. And this is legal. This is normal. This is how the system works now. Let's talk about wages. Because this is where the transfer becomes most visible. Productivity has exploded over the past 50 years. Workers produce more than ever before. Technology, automation, efficiency, all of it has made labor incredibly productive. But wages haven't kept up. From 1979 to 2020, productivity grew by 62%. Hourly pay grew by 17%. Where did the other 45% go? To profits. To shareholders. To executives. To the top. Workers created the value. But they didn't capture the value. Someone else did. That's the transfer. CEO pay is another glaring example. In 1965, the average CEO made about 20 times what the average worker made. High, but not insane. By 1989, it was 59 times. By 2020, it was 350 times. 350 times. So if the average worker makes $50,000 a year, the CEO makes $17.5 million. For what? Are they working 350 times harder? Are they 350 times smarter? No. They're just positioned at the top of a system designed to concentrate wealth. And every dollar they take is a dollar that doesn't go to the workers who actually create the product, serve the customer, run the operation. Another transfer. Now let's talk about taxes. Because this is where the system really reveals itself. You've probably heard rich people say, I pay more in taxes than anyone. And technically they might. In absolute dollars, sure. But as a percentage, no. Not even close. Warren Buffett famously said he pays a lower tax rate than his secretary. And he's right. Because the tax code is designed to favor capital over labor. If you work for your money, you pay income tax. That's the highest rate. If your money makes money, you pay capital gains tax. That's lower. Much lower. So the more wealth you have, the less you pay as a percentage. And if you're really wealthy, you have accountants, lawyers, tax shelters, offshore accounts. You pay almost nothing. Meanwhile, the middle class pays 30%, 40% when you include payroll taxes, state taxes, sales taxes. It's a regressive system disguised as a progressive one. And every dollar the wealthy avoid is a dollar the middle class has to cover. Another transfer. Then there's corporate taxes. In the 1950s, corporate taxes made up about 30% of federal revenue. Today, it's less than 7%. Corporations are more profitable than ever, but they pay less. How? Loopholes, deductions, offshore havens, tax credits. And when they don't pay, guess who does? The worker. The taxpayer. The person who can't hire a team of accountants to find loopholes. The system is built to transfer the tax burden downward. And it's working. Let's talk about monopolies. Because this is another mechanism of transfer. In a competitive market, companies have to fight for customers. They lower prices, improve quality, innovate. But when a few companies dominate an industry, they don't have to compete. They can raise prices, cut quality, squeeze suppliers, crush small competitors, and you have no choice but to pay. Look at telecom. 3 companies control most of the market. Prices are higher in America than almost anywhere else in the developed world. Same with healthcare, same with airlines, same with tech giants. A handful of companies control entire sectors, and they extract wealth from everyone else. Another transfer. From consumers to monopolists. Now let's talk about something really dark. Rent-seeking. That's the economic term for extracting wealth without creating value. Landlords are the classic example. They own property, you pay rent. They didn't build the property, they didn't improve the property, they just own it. And every month, wealth transfers from you to them. Now, I'm not saying all landlords are evil. Some provide a real service. But when private equity firms buy tens of thousands of homes and rent them out at inflated prices, that's pure extraction. That's wealth transfer. Or toll roads. A company buys the rights to a road, then charges you to drive on it. They didn't build it, taxpayers did. But now they collect the revenue. Or patents. A company patents a drug, then charges $1,000 a pill. Not because it costs that much to make. Because they can. Because they have a monopoly. Rent-seeking is everywhere. And it's one of the main engines of the wealth transfer. Here's another mechanism. Quantitative easing. I mentioned it earlier, but let's go deeper. When the Federal Reserve buys bonds, they're injecting money into the financial system. That money goes to banks, financial institutions, investors. Not to workers. Not to small businesses. To the people who already have money. And what do they do with it? They buy assets. Stocks, real estate, corporate bonds. And because demand goes up, prices go up. So the rich get richer, simply because the Fed is printing money. Meanwhile, regular people see their cost of living rise. Their rent goes up, their groceries go up, their insurance goes up. But their wages stay flat. This is monetary policy. And it's the most powerful wealth transfer mechanism in existence. Let me give you another example. In 2020, during the pandemic, the stock market crashed. People were terrified. Unemployment hit levels not seen since the Great Depression. And the Fed stepped in. Massive intervention. Interest rates to zero. Trillions in asset purchases. Corporate bond buying programs. Direct support to financial markets. And what happened? The market recovered in months. Not because the economy was better. Not because companies were more profitable. Because the Fed flooded the system with money. And if you own stocks, you made a fortune. The S&P 500 went on to hit record highs. But if you didn't own stocks, if you lost your job, if your small business went under, you got nothing. Well, you got a $1,200 check. Maybe two. While billionaires added trillions to their net worth. That's the transfer. That's the reality. Let's talk about inflation again. Because it's not just about prices going up. It's about who benefits and who suffers. If you owe debt, inflation helps you. Because you pay back the debt with devalued dollars. If you own assets, inflation helps you. Because assets rise in nominal value. But if you live on a fixed income, if you're a retiree, if you're a worker whose wages don't keep up, inflation destroys you. It's a hidden tax. And it's regressive. The poorer you are, the harder it hits. Because the poor spend a higher percentage of their income on necessities. Food, rent, gas, utilities. When those prices go up, they have nothing left. The rich spend a small percentage of their income on necessities. The rest is invested, saved, spent on luxuries. So inflation barely touches them. Another transfer. From the bottom to the top. Here's a fact that should haunt you. The bottom 50% of Americans have a combined net worth of about $2.5 trillion. Sounds like a lot, right? But the top 1% has a combined net worth of over $45 trillion. 45 trillion. 10 people in America have more wealth than the bottom half combined. 10 people. Out of 330 million. That's not a meritocracy. That's not hard work. That's a system designed to concentrate wealth. And it's accelerating. Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying rich people are bad. I'm not saying capitalism is evil. I'm saying the system has been rigged to favor capital over labor. Owners over workers. The already wealthy over everyone else. And unless you understand that, unless you see it clearly, you'll spend your life wondering why you can't get ahead. So what does this mean for you? It means the old strategies don't work. You can't outwork this. You can't outsave this. You have to outthink it. You have to understand where wealth is going and position yourself accordingly. You have to own assets. Even small ones. A house, stocks, a side business, anything that generates value outside of your labor. Because labor alone won't save you. Not anymore. And here's the hardest truth. Most people won't do this. Most people will keep their head down, work their job, save a little, hope for the best. And they'll be fine, maybe. They'll survive. But they won't thrive. They won't build wealth. They won't break the cycle. And their kids will start from the same place they did. Or worse. The wealth transfer is happening. It's not coming. It's here. And every day you wait, every day you ignore it, you fall further behind. Let me paint you a picture of where this ends. Not in some distant future, but in the next 10, 20 years. If current trends continue, if nothing changes, here's what America looks like. A small elite class owns almost everything. Homes, land, businesses, resources, capital. They live in gated communities, send their kids to private schools, have access to the best healthcare, the best opportunities. Then there's everyone else. Renters, workers, gig economy laborers, living paycheck to paycheck. No savings, no security, no upward mobility. Working until they die because retirement is impossible. This isn't dystopian fiction. This is the trajectory we're on. Look at housing. In major cities, homeownership is already out of reach for most young people. New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, Austin, Miami. The average person can't afford to buy, so they rent. And rents keep climbing. Because landlords, many of them corporate landlords, can charge whatever they want. There's no alternative. You need a place to live, so you pay. And every month, wealth transfers from you to them. Now imagine that expanding. Imagine a future where most Americans rent everything. Their home, their car, their appliances, their furniture. Subscription economy. Ownership economy for the few. Rental economy for everyone else. That's not speculation. That's the direction we're heading. Or look at retirement. Social Security is running out of money. The trust fund is projected to be depleted by the 2030s. When that happens, benefits will be cut. Maybe by 20%, maybe more. Pensions are already gone for most people. 401ks are the norm now. But most people don't have enough in their 401k. The median balance for people aged 55 to 64 is under $200,000. That's not enough to retire on. Not even close. So people will work into their 70s, their 80s. And if they can't work, they'll rely on family, charity, or they'll suffer. This is the future for millions of Americans. Not because they were irresponsible, because the system failed them. Here's the thing about wealth transfers. They're not always dramatic. They don't happen overnight. They happen slowly, imperceptibly, like boiling a frog. You don't notice until it's too late. And by then, the damage is done. Your buying power is eroded. Your savings are worthless. Your opportunities are gone. And the people who position themselves correctly are miles ahead. Let's talk about education. Because that's another transfer mechanism. College used to be a ticket to the middle class. You'd graduate, get a good job, pay off your loans in a few years, and build a life. Now, college is a debt trap. Students graduate with $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 in debt. And the jobs don't pay enough to cover it. So they're stuck. Living with parents, delaying marriage, delaying kids, delaying homeownership. An entire generation in suspended animation. Meanwhile, the universities keep raising tuition. Administrators make six figures. Endowments grow to billions. And students pay the price. Another transfer. From the young to the institutions. Or think about healthcare again. Because this is where the transfer becomes life or death. Medical bankruptcy is uniquely American. Nowhere else in the developed world do people lose everything because they got sick. But here, it's common. A cancer diagnosis, a car accident, a chronic illness. And you're done. Insurance doesn't cover it all. Deductibles, co-pays, out-of-network charges. You're buried in bills. And even if you survive the illness, you're financially destroyed. Another transfer. From the sick to the healthcare industrial complex. Now let's zoom out even further. Because this isn't just about individuals. It's about the entire social fabric. When wealth concentrates at the top, society fractures. Trust erodes. Anger rises. People feel cheated. And they are. Look at the political landscape. Extreme polarization. People on the left blame the rich, corporations, capitalism. People on the right blame the government, regulations, socialism. And they're both kind of right. Because the system is rigged. But it's rigged by both sides. Corporate lobbying, government bailouts, regulatory capture, crony capitalism. It's all the same thing. The powerful protecting their interests at everyone else's expense. Here's a stat that should terrify you. Trust in institutions is at an all-time low. Trust in government, media, corporations, even science. People don't believe what they're told anymore. And can you blame them? They've been lied to. They were told the economy is strong while they struggle to pay rent. They were told inflation is transitory while prices doubled. They were told work hard and you'll succeed while wages stagnated. So they stopped trusting. And when trust collapses, societies collapse. But here's the worst part. The people at the top don't care. They're insulated. They have wealth, power, security. They can ride out any crisis. Stock market crashes? They buy the dip. Inflation? Their assets inflate. Recession? They have cash reserves. Social unrest? They live in gated communities with private security. They're fine. And the system keeps working for them. So there's no incentive to change it. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not advocating for revolution. I'm not saying burn it all down. I'm saying understand the game. Understand that the rules are not designed for you. They're designed for people who already have. And if you want to survive, if you want to thrive, you have to learn the rules and play accordingly. Let me give you a different example. Technology. Tech companies are worth trillions. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Facebook. They dominate the global economy. And who benefits? Shareholders, founders, early employees, not the users. You use Google every day. You make Google billions of dollars in ad revenue. But you don't see a penny. You use Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You create the content, you are the product. But you don't get paid. The platform does. Another transfer. Your time, your attention, your data. Their profit. Or think about Amazon. Millions of people use it. Small businesses sell on it. And Amazon takes a cut. A big cut. Sellers have no choice. If they want access to customers, they pay Amazon's fees. And Amazon uses that data to create competing products. And because they control the platform, they win. Small businesses get squeezed. Workers in warehouses get exploited. And Jeff Bezos becomes the richest man in the world. That's the transfer. From the many to the few. Automation is the next wave. Artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning. It's going to displace millions of jobs. Truck drivers, cashiers, customer service reps, accountants, even lawyers and doctors. And who benefits? The companies that own the technology. The shareholders. Not the workers who get replaced. Now, maybe society will adapt. Maybe we'll create new jobs, new industries. Or maybe we'll implement universal basic income, some kind of safety net. But more likely, we'll see another massive transfer. Wealth concentrating with the owners of capital and technology, while everyone else fights for scraps. Here's the bottom line. The system is not broken. It's working exactly as designed. To transfer wealth upward. To concentrate power. To protect the interests of those at the top. And it's been working for decades. You feel it. You know something's wrong. You work hard, you play by the rules, but you can't get ahead. And that's because the game is rigged. Not in some abstract, conspiratorial way, but in concrete, measurable, documented ways. Tax policy, monetary policy, labor laws, corporate structure, financialization. Every lever of power is designed to extract wealth from the many and concentrate it with the few. So what do? You can't change the system. Not alone. But you can adapt. You can learn how money works. You can understand inflation, interest rates, asset prices. You can stop saving in dollars and start buying assets. Even small ones. You can educate yourself, educate your kids. Teach them that the old rules don't apply. Teach them to think like owners, not workers. Because that's the only way to win. And here's the hard truth. Most people won't do this. They'll keep their heads down. They'll keep working, keep saving, keep hoping. And they'll get left behind. And 20 years from now, they'll look around and wonder why the gap got so big. Why their life is so hard. Why their kids have less than they did. And the answer will be the same. The wealth transfer. The silent, invisible, unstoppable redistribution of resources from the bottom to the top. It's been happening for decades. And it's still happening now. Let me give you one more example. Climate change. Not to get political, but to illustrate a point. The effects of climate change, floods, droughts, fires, hurricanes, will hit the poor hardest. They live in vulnerable areas. They can't afford to move. They don't have insurance. Meanwhile, the wealthy will adapt. They'll move to safer areas. They'll build resilient homes. They'll buy resources, land, water rights. So even a global crisis becomes another transfer. From those who can't afford to adapt to those who can. This is the world we live in. Every crisis, every policy, every shift in the economy. It's an opportunity for wealth to move. And it always moves the same direction. So when I say the largest wealth transfer in American history is happening right now, I'm not exaggerating. This is it. This is the moment. And you're living through it. The question is, are you on the right side of it? Let's talk about solutions. Because I don't want to leave you hopeless. I don't want you to think there's nothing you can do. There is. It's just not what you've been taught. The traditional advice, go to school, get a job, save money, retire, that's outdated. It worked for previous generations because the economic conditions were different. But today, that path leads nowhere. So what's the new path? First, understand that wealth is built through ownership, not labor. Labor is how you survive. Ownership is how you thrive. You need to own something. Assets that generate income, appreciate in value, or both. Real estate, stocks, a business, intellectual property, anything that works for you instead of you working for it. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have money to buy assets. And that's the trap. But here's the thing. You don't need a lot to start. You just need to start. Let's talk about real estate. Buying a home is hard right now. Prices are high, rates are high, down payments are steep. But if you can do it, do it. Because owning a home is one of the most powerful wealth-building tools available. Not because homes always go up, but because it's forced savings. Every mortgage payment builds equity. And over time, even if the market stagnates, you own an asset. An asset that can't be inflated away. Now, if you can't buy a home, consider house hacking. Buy a small multifamily property, live in one unit, rent out the others. Or rent out rooms in a house you buy. Let tenants pay your mortgage. It's not glamorous, but it works. And it gets you in the game. If real estate is out of reach, start with stocks. You don't need thousands of dollars. You can start with $50, $100. Open a brokerage account. Buy index funds. S&P 500, total market, something diversified. And keep buying. Every paycheck, every month, consistently. Dollar cost averaging. It's simple, it's boring, but it works. Because over time, you're buying ownership in companies. And companies, on average, grow. They generate profits. They increase in value. And you benefit. Or think about starting a business. I'm not talking about quitting your job tomorrow and launching a startup. I'm talking about a side hustle. Something small. Freelancing, consulting, an online store, content creation. Anything that generates income outside of your job. Because a business is an asset. It can grow. It can be sold. It can generate passive income. And even if it fails, you learn. You build skills. You understand how money works. And that knowledge is invaluable. Here's the key. You have to shift your mindset from consumer to investor. Stop buying things that lose value. Stop financing cars, furniture, gadgets. Start buying things that gain value. Or at least hold value. Every dollar you spend is a choice. Spend it on consumption, and it's gone. Spend it on assets, and it works for you. Now let's talk about debt. Because debt is a tool. It can destroy you or it can build you. The difference is what you use it for. Debt for consumption is bad. Credit cards for vacations, cars you can't afford, clothes, electronics. That's destructive debt. It extracts wealth from you. But debt for investment can be good. A mortgage to buy a rental property. A business loan to start a company. Student loans for a degree that actually increases your earning power. That's productive debt. It builds wealth. The key is knowing the difference. Let's talk about inflation protection. Because inflation is going to keep happening. The government has too much debt. The Fed has too many commitments. They're going to keep printing money. And that means the dollar will keep losing value. So you need to protect yourself. Own assets that inflate. Stocks, real estate, commodities, even Bitcoin. I'm not saying bet everything on crypto. But understand that hard assets, things with limited supply, tend to hold value when currencies devalue. Gold has been a store of value for thousands of years. Real estate can't be printed. Stocks represent ownership in productive businesses. These things protect you. Cash does not. Education is another key. Not formal education necessarily, but financial education. Learn how money works. Learn about interest rates, inflation, compound growth, tax strategies. Read books, take courses, listen to podcasts. Become financially literate. Because the system depends on you not understanding it. The system depends on you staying ignorant, staying passive, staying a consumer. The moment you understand how it works, you can start working it to your advantage. Now, let's talk about taxes. Because this is where you can save a fortune. The tax code is complicated. But it's complicated on purpose. It's filled with loopholes, deductions, credits. And wealthy people use them. You can too. If you own a business, you can deduct expenses. If you invest in real estate, you can deduct depreciation, mortgage interest, repairs. If you contribute to retirement accounts, you can defer taxes. You need to learn the rules. Or hire someone who knows them. Because every dollar you save in taxes is a dollar you can invest. Let me be blunt. The system is not going to save you. The government is not going to save you. Your employer is not going to save you. You have to save yourself. And the way you do that is by taking control. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone to hand you opportunity. Create it. Now, I know this sounds harsh. I know it sounds like I'm putting all the responsibility on you. And in a way, I am. Because that's reality. Fair or not, you're responsible for your financial future. No one else is coming. But here's the good news. You're not alone. Millions of people are waking up to this. They're learning, they're adapting, they're building. And you can too. There are communities, resources, tools. The internet has democratized information. You can learn anything for free. You can start a business with almost no capital. You can invest with a few clicks. The barriers are lower than they've ever been. The question is, will you take action? Let me tell you what happens if you don't. You'll keep working, keep struggling, keep falling behind. And one day, you'll be old. Too old to work. And you'll have nothing. You'll depend on Social Security, which won't be enough. You'll depend on your kids, if they can even afford to help. Or you'll just suffer. That's the reality for millions of Americans. Not because they're lazy. Not because they're stupid. Because they didn't understand the game. And they ran out of time. But it doesn't have to be you. You still have time. Maybe not a lot, but some. And you can start today. Right now. Open a brokerage account. Research real estate in your area. Start a side project. Cut unnecessary expenses. Read a book on investing. Do something. Anything. Because action is the only antidote to despair. Here's the thing about wealth transfers. They're inevitable. But you get to choose which side you're on. You can be the person wealth transfers from. Or you can be the person wealth transfers to. It's not about being rich. It's about being smart. It's about understanding the rules and positioning yourself accordingly. And look, I'm not saying this is easy. It's not. Building wealth takes time, discipline, sacrifice. You'll have to make hard choices. Skip vacations, drive an older car, live below your means. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is working forever. Stressing forever. Never feeling secure. Never being free. Is that what you want? Let me tell you what financial freedom feels like. It's waking up and not worrying about money. It's being able to say no to a job you hate. It's being able to help your kids, your parents, your community. It's having options, having control, having peace. That's worth fighting for. That's worth sacrificing for. And here's the beautiful part. Once you build momentum, it gets easier. Compound growth takes over. Your assets start working for you. You start seeing progress. And that motivates you to keep going. It's a virtuous cycle, but you have to start it. No one else can do it for you. So here's my challenge to you. In the next 24 hours, do one thing. One action toward building wealth. Open an investment account. Research a side hustle. Read an article on financial literacy. Something. Anything. Because action creates momentum. And momentum creates change. Now, I want to address something. Some of you are thinking, this is all about money. What about happiness? What about fulfillment? And you're right. Money isn't everything. But poverty is devastating. Financial stress destroys relationships, health, mental well-being. It limits your choices, your freedom, your ability to help others. So yes, focus on happiness. Focus on meaning. But don't ignore money, because financial security gives you the space to pursue those things. Let me end this section with a truth. The wealth transfer is happening. You can't stop it, but you can adapt. You can learn. You can position yourself. And you can build a life where you're not a victim of the system. Where you're not constantly stressed, constantly struggling, constantly falling behind. You can win. Not because you're special. Not because you're lucky. Because you understand the rules. And you play accordingly. Let me give you a historical perspective. Because this isn't the first wealth transfer. And it won't be the last. Wealth has always moved. Throughout history, through war, famine, plague, revolution, economic collapse. Wealth shifts. The question is always the same. Who sees it coming? Who adapts? Who survives? Think about the Roman Empire. At its height, Rome was the wealthiest, most powerful civilization on earth. But wealth was concentrated. Senators, landowners, military generals. They owned everything. The common people owned nothing. And when the empire fell, the wealth didn't disappear. It transferred. To the Catholic Church, to feudal lords, to merchant families. A new elite emerged. And the cycle continued. Or think about the Industrial Revolution. Factory owners became fabulously wealthy. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Vanderbilt. They controlled oil, steel, railroads. And workers, men, women, children, labored in brutal conditions for pennies. Wealth transferred from labor to capital. Exactly like today. Eventually, labor unions formed. Regulations were enacted. Wealth redistributed slightly. But the fundamental structure remained. Owners on top. Workers on the bottom. The Great Depression was another transfer. Millions lost everything. Savings wiped out. Homes foreclosed. Businesses shuttered. But some people got rich. People with cash bought assets for pennies on the dollar. They bought land, stocks, companies. And when the economy recovered, they owned everything. Joseph Kennedy, JFK's father, made a fortune during the Depression because he understood the game. He sold at the top. He bought at the bottom. And he positioned his family for generational wealth. After World War II, America entered a golden age. The middle class exploded. Wages rose, homeownership rose, prosperity spread. But that was an anomaly, a unique moment in history. The rest of the world was destroyed. America was the only industrial power left standing. So we dominated global trade. We manufactured everything. And prosperity flowed. But it didn't last. By the 1970s, the cracks were showing. Oil shocks, inflation, stagflation. The post-war boom was over. And wealth started concentrating again. Financialization began. Globalization began. Manufacturing jobs left. Unions weakened. And the middle class started shrinking. Slowly at first. Then faster. And here we are. The point is, wealth transfers are normal. They happen. They've always happened. But this one, the one happening right now, is different. It's bigger. It's faster. And it's more systemic. Because this time, it's not just about war or depression or technological change. It's about monetary policy. It's about debt. It's about a global financial system on the edge of collapse. And the only way to keep it alive is to print money. Which means inflate assets. Which means transfer wealth upward. Let me explain the endgame. Because this can't go on forever. At some point, the system breaks. Maybe it's hyperinflation. Maybe it's debt default. Maybe it's social unrest. Maybe it's all three. But something gives. And when it does, there will be another massive transfer. The question is, will you be ready? Here's what I think happens. The government keeps spending. The Fed keeps printing. Inflation stays high, maybe gets higher. Asset prices stay elevated, maybe climb more. The rich get richer. The poor get poorer. The middle class shrinks further. Social tension rises. Political extremism rises. Trust in institutions collapses. And eventually, something breaks. When it breaks, those with hard assets survive. Those with cash get wiped out. Those with debt, if it's productive debt, might actually benefit. Because they pay it back with worthless dollars. But those with consumption debt, credit cards, car loans, they get crushed. Because their income doesn't keep up. Or maybe we get a reset. A currency reset. A debt jubilee. Some kind of restructuring. It's happened before. In the 1930s, FDR took America off the gold standard. He devalued the dollar. Debt was wiped out, in real terms. And a new system emerged. Maybe that happens again. Maybe the dollar gets replaced. Maybe we move to a new global currency. Maybe it's digital. Who knows? But if history is any guide, the people who see it coming will profit. And the people who don't will lose everything. So what do? You diversify. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. You own some real estate. You own some stocks. You own some hard assets, gold, silver, maybe Bitcoin. You keep some cash for liquidity. But not too much. You stay flexible. You stay informed. You pay attention to what's happening. And when the opportunity comes, you act. Because here's the secret. Every crisis is an opportunity. Every collapse is a transfer. And if you're positioned correctly, you can come out ahead. Not by being ruthless. Not by exploiting people. But by understanding the game. By seeing what others don't. By acting when others are paralyzed. Let me give you an example. The housing market collapsed. People were terrified. Banks were failing. The world felt like it was ending. But smart investors, people with cash, people with courage, they bought. They bought houses at 50 cents. On the dollar. They bought stocks at historic lows. And 10 years later, they were wealthy. Not because they were lucky. Because they understood that fear creates opportunity. The same thing happened in 2020. The pandemic hit. Markets crashed. Everyone panicked. But if you bought in March 2020, you made a fortune. Stocks doubled, tripled. Real estate exploded. Crypto went parabolic. Again, not luck. Understanding. So when the next crisis comes, and it will, don't panic. Don't sell everything. Don't hide under a rock. Stay calm. Stay rational. And look for opportunity. Because that's when wealth transfers. That's when fortunes are made. Now, I want to address something important. This isn't about being greedy. This isn't about stepping on people. This is about survival. This is about taking care of yourself, your family, your future. Because no one else will. The system won't. The government won't. You have to. And once you're secure, once you've built wealth, you can help others. You can give back. You can support your community. You can create jobs, fund charities, invest in the next generation. But you can't do any of that if you're broke. You can't help anyone if you're drowning. So secure your oxygen mask first. Then help others. Let me tell you what I see when I look at the future. I see two paths. Path 1, you ignore what's happening. You keep doing what you've always done. You work, you save in dollars, you hope for the best. And you get left behind. You struggle. You stress. You never build wealth. And you pass that struggle to your kids. Path 2, you wake up. You educate yourself. You take action. You start building assets. You position yourself for the transfer. And you come out ahead. Not rich necessarily, but secure, free, in control. Which path do you want? Because the choice is yours. No one can make it for you. No one can save you. You have to save yourself. And the time to start is now. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Here's the final truth. The wealth transfer is not coming. It's here. It's happening. Right now, in this moment, wealth is moving. From those who don't understand to those who do. From those who wait to those who act. From those who consume to those who own. And every day you wait, the gap gets wider. Every day you hesitate, you fall further behind. So stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Start moving. Because in 10 years, you'll look back at this moment. And you'll either regret that you didn't act, or you'll be grateful that you did. The choice is yours. Let me bring this home. Because everything I've told you, every stat, every example, every warning, it all comes down to one thing. Awareness. Most people sleepwalk through life. They don't question. They don't analyze. They just accept what they're told. Work hard, save money, everything will be fine. But it's not fine. And it won't be fine. Not unless you wake up. The biggest wealth transfer in American history is not some abstract economic theory. It's not something happening to other people. It's happening to you. Right now. Every time you pay rent, that's a transfer. Every time inflation eats your paycheck, that's a transfer. Every time the stock market hits a record high and you don't own stocks, that's a transfer. Wealth is moving. The question is, are you on the right side of it? I've spent this entire video laying out the mechanisms. Inflation, asset inflation, debt, financialization, tax policy, monopolies, quantitative easing. All of it designed to move wealth from the many to the few. And it's working. It's been working for decades. And it's accelerating. But here's the thing. You can't change the system. You're not going to single-handedly reform tax policy. You're not going to stop the Fed from printing money. You're not going to dismantle corporate monopolies. You can vote, you can protest, you can advocate. And maybe, over time, things will change. But in the meantime, you have to survive. You have to adapt. You have to play the game as it exists, not as you wish it existed. And the game is simple. Own assets. Protect yourself from inflation. Build wealth slowly, consistently, intelligently. Don't try to get rich quick. Don't gamble. Don't chase trends. Just understand the fundamentals and act accordingly. Let me leave you with this. History is full of people who saw the transfer coming, who understood the moment, who positioned themselves correctly. And they didn't just survive. They thrived. They built generational wealth. They secured their families. They created legacies. And it wasn't because they were smarter. It wasn't because they were luckier. It was because they paid attention. You have that opportunity right now. This moment, this video, this realization. It's a gift. Most people will never see this clearly. Most people will never understand what's happening. But you do. Now the question is, what will you do with that knowledge? Will you act? Will you change your habits, your mindset, your strategy? Will you start building assets, educating yourself, positioning yourself for the future? Or will you go back to sleep? Will you tell yourself it's too hard, too late, too complicated? Will you make excuses? Because I promise you, in 10 years, excuses won't matter. Results will. The transfer is happening. Wealth is moving. And you're either moving with it or being left behind. There's no middle ground. There's no neutral. You're either building wealth or losing it. Every single day. So here's what I want you to do. After this video, don't just move on. Don't just scroll to the next thing. Take action. One action. Right now. Open a brokerage account. Research real estate. Start learning about money. Something. Anything. Because action is the only thing that matters. And if this video resonated with you, if it opened your eyes, if it made you think, do me a favor. Share it. Send it to someone who needs to hear this. Your friend, your sibling, your parents, your kids. Because knowledge is power. And the more people who understand what's happening, the better off we all are. This is the biggest wealth transfer in American history. And it's happening whether you believe it or not. Whether you pay attention or not. Whether you act or not. The only question is, where will you be when it's over? On the winning side? Or the losing side? The choice is yours. The time is now. Don't waste it. The wealth transfer isn't some distant storm on the horizon. It's already here. Already reshaping the world while most people aren't even looking. You've seen the evidence. You've heard the arguments. Now comes the hard part. Deciding what you're going to do about it. Because knowing changes nothing if you don't act. If this video gave you clarity, if it armed you with understanding you didn't have before, then don't let that clarity fade. Don't let the noise of daily life drown out what you now know to be true. Hit that subscribe button, because we're going to keep pulling back the curtain, keep revealing what the system doesn't want you to see. Drop a comment and tell me, are you ready to position yourself on the right side of this transfer, or are you going to keep pretending everything is fine? And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who's working hard but getting nowhere, someone who feels like they're falling behind no matter what they do, send them this video. Help them see what you now see. Because we're all in this together, and the more people who wake up, the harder it is for the system to keep extracting from us without resistance. The transfer is happening. Right now. This second. But your story isn't written yet. You still have time. You still have choices. Make them count. Thank you for watching. Thank you for paying attention. And I'll see you in the next one, where we keep digging deeper into the forces shaping your financial future. Stay sharp. Stay informed. And most importantly, stay in control.